Well, it's a brief road test on a Honda Accord Tourer. This is the EX GT model and it's a diesel automatic. The car's registered WJ09EUH and the mileage at the start of this brief road test is 128,361 miles. The reason we do the road test is basically because we're selling to customers now from all over the near continent and the extremes of the UK, so we just want people to see the cars in operation, hopefully give you confidence to come see our cars, and also to do it on the same roads that you'll be road testing the car on yourself. So any feedback I give you today should manifest itself in the same feelings that you get yourself on the test drive when you come and see the car. What I try and do on all the cars is just go through it in the same kind of order you do yourself. So starting with the kind of the mechanical hardware, if you like, engine of the car. Clearly, as you know from the advert, the car's been fully serviced by Honda from new, so I'd expect it to be in good order, even with, you know, a relatively high mileage. But the engine starts absolutely first turn of the key, idles very smoothly, no strange noises. It sounds, you know, like a car that's done a sort of a half or third its miles. It's, you know, it's idling there, just absolutely rock steady. Pulls really sweetly through the rev range, loads of oomph to it. There's no warning lights on the car relating to the engine or anything else for that matter either. You know, they're a tough engine. You know, the DTEC engine. It's took over from the CTDI diesel, which again was a very good engine. But they took away some of the little issues on that engine, which was notably the kind of the sort of whining noises at low speeds, which kind of irritated people. So this is a very smooth revving, very nice engine to sit behind actually. The engine then goes through to this automatic gearbox, very nice gearbox, and it's not a given that an automatic will suit a diesel. But I've been in some and they've been absolutely woeful. You know, the gear ratios are all wrong, turbo lag. It just meant for a kind of a fairly jerky ride, and the engine and gearbox never really settled. This gearbox, from what I understand, originated in the Honda Legend, which was designed to take over 300 horsepower and a huge amount of torque. Obviously Honda didn't want to mess around with auto and reliability, and you know, put in something that was engineered to take a lot more power, a lot more torque. And you know, we've never had one give us an issue. I don't want to tempt fate, but you know, not even crossed our mind. Said the gearbox itself is really lovely in operation. The gear shifts, you know, they're smooth, they're well engineered, and they're pretty rapid. It kicks down very easily. Just sort of slight press of the throttle pedal will actuate it. But just a really lovely box to use. We've also got these paddles on the steering wheel here, so if you want to, when you're doing overtaking, just pull it back. So fourth, third, and you can dictate what gears you go in. And if you leave it for a second or two, then it will just revert back to normal auto mode in a second. But that you know, all works absolutely as it should. As I drive along now, car tracks absolutely bullet straight. There's no vibrations coming back through the steering wheel. And more relevant on cars at this age and mileage, you know, it's what you'll be looking for the same as me. Is just signs of wear under the car and through the car, because sometimes the car can be well looked after, but just have a looseness with age. This doesn't at all. You know, they are quite brilliantly made cars, and you know, I don't care what people say about Mercs and BMWs and Audis and VWs. They're not made like this, not in the real world of driving anyway. Steering is lost none of its precision. I cannot detect any wear in it, which is unbelievable, because normally you'd expect to have a little track ronce or you know, sort of low wishbones, or you know, steering column or otherwise would have a bit of wear in it, and you'd lose some of its original precision. But it just feels incredibly tight. As soon as you turn the steering wheel, the car's wanting to go. Likewise with the suspension, it rides and drives exactly as I'd expect one with, you know, 20,000 miles on the clock to ride. It's just got that lovely kind of nuggety kind of ride quality, which allows really very smooth direction changes, unbelievably capable, you know, at sort of higher speeds. You just the speed you can go through corners where it just doesn't feel flustered at all. It's a really astonishing thing, and they ride very well as well. I mean, it's a genuinely comfortable car. Just to disprove that theory, of course, I'm now going to go up one of the worst road surfaces, and I always do it on the road test if I can, because this is a horrible road surfaces, you know, pitted and potholed, and picks up any kind of imperfections underneath the car. So you'll hear it go over the bumps now, but what I can't feel is any kind of resonances afterwards, like, and the things I'm looking out for are like anti-roll bars chattering away underneath, or suspension mounts. But they, you know, I said they are so well made that issues like that are very, very, very few and far between on these cars. Obviously, EX GT, so you've got, you know, it's a big spec car. You've got your big screen sat nav mounted up lovely and high, so you're not having to sort of tilt your head down to take in that information. Dead simple to use with this big rotary knob in the middle. It's, you know, it's much simpler than some competitors. All works beautifully, as does, you know, when you're in gauge reverse. It obviously activates a rear parking camera, which is lovely and clear. Makes, you know, parking in tight spots, you know, an absolute doddle as well. All the switches, all the buttons have that really high quality feel to them. I can't see, I'm looking around here now, there's no paint worn off any of the switches. And again, if you jump in something like a BMW, particularly Audi and Volkswagen, you just see just how badly the interiors can actually wear. You know, the motoring press goes absolutely crazy about them when they're new and says, oh, they're the best things than sliced bread. And they're great cars to drive, but when they've done this kind of mileage, I wouldn't touch one with a barge pole. Because, you know, you look inside them, they feel clunkier than this. You know, all this sort of stuff wears really easily on them, whereas it doesn't on the Accord at all. You know, and so the motoring trade knows these cars and has a much higher opinion of them than any 3 Series or A4 or Passat estate you could ever care to mention. Not only for when it comes for us selling it to you, but for you using it, because ultimately if it goes wrong, you know, we're the ones that have to deal with it, and rightly so. But the Accord is a much tougher unit than any of those. Coming to the main dashboard here, all the functions working absolutely perfectly. As I said, there's no warning lights on. You've got your information display in there, temperature gauge running at a 3rd, which is exactly where you want to see on a Honda car. Your auto lights, auto wipers. Just going to check the cruise control, and that all works absolutely perfectly. Multifunction steering wheel here, as you know, obviously cruise control there. Radio controls on the top left here, and then your voice activation functions on the bottom left, and information display controls bottom right. But as I said, every button I pressed has worked exactly as it's meant to. It's you're made in the miles, but it's still a fully functional machine in that sense. But what's probably harder to get over in a video is sometimes just how well a car actually drives. I mean, you know, if anybody's coming, whether they be, you know, a 2-day trip across Europe or 5 minutes up the road, you know, you'll be coming to drive a car that drives absolutely beautifully. It really does. The brake pedal is rock solid. It's right at the top. There's no pulsing. There's no sort of grating noises from underneath there, which suggests there was wear in the system. We obviously checked these anyway, but you know, it's just worth pointing out. But it's the tightness of the car that's harder to get over, I guess. Let's say videos sort of they're fine, but they can't quite do all of that. But coming back to engine and gearbox, as I was saying, that, you know, it isn't